that is not meshing with Mets fans who were promised the Steve Cohen sitting on a hill, spending all the money, going to be competitive all year. So there is a disconnect here. And for fans to lose, for that team to lose Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso, you have to do some massive backfilling. So I don't want to judge. I don't want to prejudge. Welcome into Late Night Baseball. It's Parker, it's Anthony, talking baseball deep into the night as we are each and every week. Who says that baseball is not fun in the offseason? Not up in here. Not up in here. Parker,
No.
how you doing?
Myself and the rest of Red Sox Nation are in shambles currently. I guess relative shambles. The offseason's not over, but a big guy that was on our list came off of the board the other day, which is going to be one of the number one things that we talk about today. As far as personally, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Just had dinner. I'm settling in. We got late night baseball.
Nice.
We got a drink in front of me. We're going to talk ball. I'm all about it. How are you?
Oh man, that's all the vibes. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Feeling good. Really, we're getting to the point. I think Christmas is coming up here, and all the stresses of trying to get ready for Christmas have crept up. But
oh my god, yeah.
As much as that is hitting our real lives, winter meetings, man. I think we came into it thinking it was going to be a frenzy. It wasn't really a frenzy.
It was muted.
It was muted, but things happened that have really shifted a few different landscapes. So we're going to get into that. Before we do, though, I had to ask you because it's been on my brain. The Broncos, dude. We're going to take a baseball beat for a second. I want to take a break for a moment. Dude, are your Broncos going to the Super Bowl? What's happening? I don't understand.
I could go. We could do a whole podcast episode on my Broncos. Big, maybe the biggest game of the season so far, coming up this week against the Packers. The Broncos have boasted one of the best defenses in the league. Bo Nix has been playing. He might be, if not for Caleb Williams' existence, this season's iteration of Caleb Williams, Bo Nix might be the best quarterback to come out of the draft last year. Certainly the most consistent. I think I will put that out there.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, I'm super excited. And then your Bears, man, I mean, with Ben Johnson. The Ben Johnson experiment appears to be, if not paid off, hopeful. Very hopeful.
At minimum. I mean, I'm ready to run through brick walls over here, man. I mean, it's been really exciting. And if they can beat the Packers for us this weekend, greatly appreciate it. We love the favor. It's been
especially after
fun.
last week.
Oh, Tom, please, yeah.
I mean, it's been fun. The Packers, obviously. In case anybody doesn't know, are in the middle of a 2 out of 3 weeks games against the Bears and take a break to go play one of the best defenses in football in the Broncos. So maybe they'll show up to that second game against you guys pretty beat up.
I sure hope so. But obviously, Parker and I get really into football too, not as much as baseball. But while we're here talking about baseball, Parker, really cool thing I shared with you I want to share with the rest of the crew. I think most of the people that listen to us are probably as obsessed with baseball as we are. However, we recognize that some people aren't as, psychotic as we are. And if you're not, or you know someone who's not, or someone who just wants to keep up with the sport week to week without getting in all the nitty gritty, I have created a Substack for you. The 10-minute baseball brief. So if you are in Substack or even go to Google, give it a search. You can search my name. You can search the 10-minute baseball brief. It should pop up. And it's basically a weekly newsletter where I give you a rundown on what's happening in baseball in 10 minutes so that you are an informed baseball fan. So that when you go to work and you're talking to Stan at the office and Stan thinks he knows his shit, you know your shit too after reading the 10-minute baseball brief. So go ahead and check that out, Parker. I know you got a kick out of it. I know others are as well. So I appreciate it. No,
it's really good, man. It's a really well put together product. I'm really proud of you for it. One other thing I want to ask is please, if you're here, if you've made it this far, it's been 2 minutes. I need you to like the video and I need you to subscribe on YouTube and follow and rate on the platform that you are currently listening to the show on. For those of you who maybe the one or two, I know Carl and Adam are out there and they listen to this show at least periodically, if not every week. You guys remember when this was the Utini Baseball Show, and you guys remember that at that time, Anthony was writing awesome baseball content for Utini. He's got to channel that somewhere. So go follow the 10-minute baseball brief, like, comment, subscribe on this video, and follow on the podcast platform you're choosing. All right, can we talk winter meetings now, man?
You know what? Let's do it, and let's start with the biggest move that was also the biggest surprise. Pete Alonso, 5 years, 155 million to the Baltimore Orioles. What was your reaction when you saw this deal come across?
So I got news broken for the two of the three big moves we're going to talk about here at the same time because I hadn't checked in a couple hours. And as you know, the Edwin Diaz news and the Pete Alonso news basically broke like within minutes of each other. So my first thought was, oh no, let me call my Mets friend and make sure that he's doing okay. And my second reaction was, oh no, Pete Alonso's off the board. And not only is he off the board, but as a Red Sox fan, I have to deal with the fact that now he's in my division and I'm going to play him 15 times a year. And as a Red Sox fan, we went into this offseason getting fed. I'm not going to say getting fed a line. That was tempting. But getting told by the Red Sox front office that they were looking at getting a number 2 starter, which they arguably have already acquired in Sonny Gray. A lot of us are kind of hopeful that there's going to be more out there, but we'll see. And then they were in the market for a big bat. Now, to me, Alex Bregman does not count as acquiring a big bat. He was on the team last year. I feel like you just got to kind of re-sign that guy. And the guy that really fits the Red Sox mold for this entire offseason process so far has appeared to be Pete Alonso. He's a right-handed hitter in Fenway Park. He plays first base, which has just been a position that we have not had a consistent member at since like 2019, if not later. So we all had Pete Alonso on our Christmas list, and that's somebody that we really wanted to bring into the fold. Now, there's like 3 angles of this story. The Red Sox side, which I already illustrate, the Orioles side, who obviously signed a fantastic right-handed bat, and then the Mets side. And from the Orioles side, it's like, okay, they're addressing some of their lineup concerns that they've had with their young, inexperienced hitters. What better guy to bring into this lineup and to coach them up than a guy like Pete Alonso, who's been there, done that for a long time? And then there's the Mets side of the story. And it's like,
I mean,
have you seen the fact that they didn't even make an offer? I'll let you go here on the Mets before I do.
Let's start with the Mets because you are right, Parker. They did not make an offer. And let me just say, can we just show some love to our Mets fans here? Because I feel like the Mets are such an organization, no matter what the hell is happening, there's always a reason for someone to be disappointed. And big time this season. They are not retaining Edwin Diaz, who signed with the Dodgers. They're not retaining their star hometown player in Pete Alonso.
Not just a star either. Like, this guy was like the mayor of Metsville.
The dude. Yes. The guy. The guy. King of Queens. If there was one, it was Pete Alonso. And so I struggle with... there's 2 things with the Mets. There is a prevailing thought, which I have mixed feelings about, that David Stearns wants to open up playing time for some younger players, like the Jet Williamses of the world, okay? And I understand that logic. However, that is not meshing with Mets fans who were promised the Steve Cohen, city on a hill, spending all the money, going to be competitive all year. So there is a disconnect here. And for fans to lose, for that team to lose Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso, you have to do some massive backfilling. So I don't want to judge. I don't want to prejudge. They may take the market by storm and make some really solid moves, and we may be like, all right, let's go, 2026. I doubt that they're going to get there, though.
Yeah, no, so... For me, this strikes me as, and I didn't have this first. I can't remember. It probably was Baseball is Dead. That's probably the podcast I heard it on first. But like, this is where my thoughts went when I first heard about the signing. It feels like Steve Cohen told David Stearns, "Go sign Juan Soto. I don't care how much money it takes." Okay, fair enough. Like, you went and did your job. You did what you needed to do. And then David Stearns is still, like, whatever they call it over there. For me, it's the president of baseball operations because that's what the Red Sox call it. But David Stearns is still a guy steering the ship down there. And he said, well, now I'm paying $800 million to Juan Soto. I've got to cut payroll where I can. And to me, that is the only, not even acceptable, because to me it's not acceptable. It's the only possible reason as to why you don't offer Pete Alonso a contract. Because it's not like you thought you were going to upgrade elsewhere. There isn't an upgrade out there. This was the premier power bat. I don't care if you think you're signing Kyle Tucker. You're probably not. I still think he's going to Toronto. I don't think if you bring in Eugenio Suarez, that this is something that upgrades your team. I think it's at the very peak of Eugenio Suarez's potential at this point in his career. It's a side grade. And I think that you just lost your franchise leader in home runs because you didn't want to give him the money that he wanted to make, $31 million for a guy that is going to probably turn into a primary DH here moving down the road. I'm going to warn you, in 4 to 5 years at the maturity of this deal, $31 million for a premier power hitter is going to feel like you got it on a coupon code. Like, it is going to feel extremely cheap. So to me, to not even talk to the guy feels like you gave up so much for absolutely no reason.
And here's the practical effect of this is you look at that lineup now, okay, and you had Juan Soto being protected by Pete Alonso. So now what happens, Parker, is now you're paying Juan Soto $50 million to walk 150 times a season. What are we doing?
Who was the one that came up with that quote? Because you're absolutely right. I saw that on Instagram. It's so true. It's so true. If you don't have somebody, Jeff McNeil's not fucking protecting Juan Soto in this lineup. Like, you just traded away Brendan Nimmo. Marcus Semion's not protecting Brendan Nimmo in this lineup. Marcus Semion's a 2-hitter, or maybe Marcus Semion's a 3 guy. It's just not enough protection. You needed Pete Alonso. You needed a guy on the opposite side of the plate. So one of those matchups were absolutely in your favor. You needed a situation where, because Juan Soto's left-handed, Pete Alonso's right-handed, at any given trip through the lineup, you have those guys back-to-back. One of them is in a position to succeed, either with runners on base or with somebody protecting them behind them. That was how the dynamic worked last year, and it's the reason that Pete Alonso was so good last year. I am convinced of that. I do not think he's going to be as effective in a Baltimore Orioles uniform. Hitting behind Juan Soto, with Juan Soto on base as frequently as he is, you don't want to put another bat on base. You don't want to put another guy on base. So that's why Pete Alonso was able to be as effective as he was this past year. Now, I don't have too much else from the Mets perspective. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I don't want to beat the dead horse. We're going to talk more about it when we get to the Edwin Diaz side of things. From the Orioles side of things, Mike Elias finally did it. Now, they don't have a single major league quality starting pitcher on their roster, I would argue.
Sure.
But if they can go out there and get 1 or 2 of them, holy cow, like, Mike Elias stood on business. This new ownership group stood on business. They went and got themselves a guy to replace all the production that they lost when they dealt Cedric Mullins and then some. They got a guy to replace Ryan O'Hearn. They got basically, like, the whole kit and caboodle of what they could possibly have wished to fill in a place in that lineup and mentor these young hitters. We have talked for a couple years now about how there's very little adulting going on in that room. I don't think Tyler O'Neill is the vocal leadership kind of guy to take charge of that clubhouse. But now you have Tyler O'Neill and you have Pete Alonso, who's going to be running hitters meetings. He's a built-in hitting coach, this kind of guy we talked about a couple times this offseason. If I'm an Orioles fan and I'm wearing the AAA affiliate of the Orioles, the Norfolk Tides, my hometown team, I actually went to like hundreds of their games growing up. If I'm an Orioles fan, I could not be happier right now.
No, not at all. And don't sleep on this lineup, folks. Like, this team is that much better with Pete Alonso. You're looking at a lineup that'd be Jackson Holliday, Jordan Westberg, a middle lineup of Gunnar Henderson, Pete Alonso, and Adley Rutschman. And you even look at that back half. Let's not forget they picked up Tyler Ward, okay? That's a solid. That looks even better now. That looks even better now. I mean, that lineup is really solid up and down. And so I think you're right. I think number one, Mike Elias proved that he can do more than just develop talent, which is great. But two, if he signs, which, by the way, Framber Valdez, high on their list, we learned over the winter meetings, if they can land a Framber Valdez and then another number 3 starter or maybe another kind of back-end depth starter, we're talking business for the Orioles. Then that AL East looks pretty dangerous.
Yeah, the AL East right now looks like a team that could put 3 teams in the playoffs. Like, it looks like a team that could put as many teams in the playoffs as are allowed. especially when it comes down to pitching. Like we talk about how a Red Sox rotation that's now headed up by Garrett Crochet, Sonny Gray plus, who knows what's going to be added. If not, then it's a upcoming of Connolly Early and a continuation of Brian Bayo. We talk about a Yankees rotation. Dude, the Yankees rotation next season, Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon. Oh, and Cam Schlittler throws 103 miles an hour. So, like, okay. Luis Heel won a Rookie of the Year 2 years ago. That Yankees rotation looks absolutely devastating. The Blue Jays proved that Trey Savage is absolutely insane. And if he can sustain that over 162 games, then we're looking at a lot of money. They just added Dylan Cease. This division, on top of the fact that the Rays literally can never be counted out again, as long as that ownership group still owns that team, especially when they move out of the situation that they were in last year. Are we surprised that playing in a spring training park that they felt a little out of place and maybe didn't play up to their potential? The AL East could literally, if it was possible to take 5 teams out of the division and put them all in the playoffs in the same year, the AL East next year might actually do that.
I think you're right. That could be. And let's be clear here. We're not even halfway through the offseason, which is crazy to think about. But I want to focus in actually on your Red Sox because I still think of the whole division. This is the team that could either, when all said is done, go full pedal to the metal and reshape this whole thing. But it hasn't quite happened yet. I mean, there's been rumors, Parker. I mean, they're talking to the Diamondbacks about Ketel Marte. They're talking still to Alex Bregman. And they even called the White Sox. It was confirmed they talked to my White Sox about getting Kyle Teal back. That's pie in the sky. Good luck. Never going to happen. But they are kind of just trying to piece this thing together. What do you make of kind of what you're hearing so far?
So, like I said, we were promised that we were going to be getting a number 2. And if I'm being completely honest, I think Sonny Gray is the number 2. I think we all want it. I don't agree with it either, but it looks at this particular juncture like it might be. Now there's Freddie Peralta rumors. They did just pull in Oviedo from the Pirates. I love that deal. Like that's a nitty gritty deal that you and I think will probably talk about more over text than is like going to get views on this podcast. But I love the Oviedo acquisition. But I will say that the Red Sox need to get it together to a point where we need to figure out, first of all, we need to figure out an infield. I like the Ketel Marte negotiation, and right now it seems like it's stalling over the fact that the Diamondbacks want to bring in either, now I don't remember who reported this, I want to say it was Bob Nightingale, and take Bob Nightingale with a grain of salt, whatever you want to say, but he did, I think, mention, or maybe it was Morosi, that the Diamondbacks and Red Sox are stalling over the fact that the Diamondbacks want either Connolly Early or Peyton Tolley. Now, personally, if Peyton Tolley is what it takes to get this deal across the finish line, I'm giving Peyton Tolley over to the Diamondbacks. I think that Connolly Early brings enough to the table and enough upside. And Luis Perales is now coming up. He just had Tommy John surgery. He's blowing 100 in the Arizona Fall League. I'm a big fan of the pitching workshop going on in Boston. I'm not really worried about losing another pitching prospect. They kind of print themselves in Boston. So I think you send Peyton Tolley over to go get yourself a Ketel Marte. Why do I harp so much on Ketel Marte? Well, number one, he is one of those premium offensive pieces. He is a switch hitter. Yes. He is spectacular. He is actually weirdly peaking later in his career, which I think we've seen now with Marcus Semien and maybe Ketel Marte, that like second baseman, middle infielders have this potential with the less physical toll that happens at the second base position. I think this is just something that's going to happen. I would love to pull him in. And also his price is minimally reduced, I think, right now because of the whole controversy and stuff like that. Not really controversy that happened in this past season where his house was robbed, his mother died. He took a lot of time off. Apparently there was a bit of division inside that clubhouse about how much time he did take off. Look, man, I have not lost my mother. I cannot imagine. I have not had my house broken into and millions of dollars worth of things stolen out of it. Maybe some of them sentimental. Jeez. I cannot imagine. So what I'm getting at is, after all of this, I would like them to bring in Ketel Marte, which is interesting that they are even considering something like that, because there was a tweet that said, and I believe this was Chris Cotillo from Mass Live, that tweeted it, saying that the thing that made the Red Sox balk at the thought of bringing in Pete Alonso was his age, which is absolutely insane to me because he's the same age as Pete Alonso, as Alex Bregman, who the Red Sox are actively pursuing. And he's also the same age, if not a year removed, from Ketel Marte. So, and if there's an archetype that ages extremely well, it is the corner infielder who hits bombs. Like that archetype ages extremely well. If we were in on Kyle Schwarber, which they did make an offer to Kyle Schwarber, why would you not be in on Pete Alonso? It's the same player. Pete Alonso literally took $1 million more a year than Kyle Schwarber. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I could go on for hours about the Red Sox. I do think that there needs to be a bat added. If it's not Ketel Marte, it's not going to be like a Kyle Tucker or anything like that. I guess I would be okay with an Eugenio Suarez. But at the end of the day, I come back to this feeling of like, oh my God, the Boston Red Sox are still in this situation where we're begging them to spend money that they refuse to spend, except now we are in our first offseason after you traded our perennial 30 home run, 100 RBI guy to the San Francisco Giants. We would have a home run threat in the middle of the lineup to make this a World Series contending roster if we had not traded him for what has so far equated to peanuts.
Yes. Wow. I mean, geez, get off your soapbox, why don't you?
Sorry. That's all I've had to do over the last 2 days is think about this.
You know how long it's been since Parker's been wanting to spew all that? It's been a little while here. But we'll see, man. I don't know. I think the point remains, right? The AL East is going to be absolutely vicious, and by the time the offseason's over, I think we're going to be talking about it all over again, especially when we do our division previews. That may be the longest one, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I want to get to the two other big moves. So Pete Alonso signed this winter meetings. The other two big moves, let's move on to Kyle Schwarber, which Kyle Schwarber went ahead and got what he needed from the Phillies and re-signed with them. And Parker, I think it was always a 90% chance he was going back to the Phillies, but Phillies are running it back. They signed Kyle Schwarber to a big deal. They extended their manager Rob Thompson through 2027. So they're going to try to piece this thing together and not decline, which is interesting to me.
Yeah. Kyle Schwarber's headed into his age 33 season. He'll be 33 by the time spring training starts. When you have a guy like that who, yes, he's going to play DH 99% of the time. He hit 56 home runs last year and put up 150 OPS plus. That's the kind of guy I am willing to give five years to at $30 million a piece. Especially like I will die on this hill. Check back in 4 years. $30 million for a primary DH that has 40 home run potential is going to be pennies at the way that the game is expanding and the way that the payrolls are expanding. I don't care what happens in the CBA negotiations. Obviously, that all remains to be seen. I still don't think we're coming away with a salary cap. I think Kyle Schwarber is going to be a budget beast compared to the DHs that we have in about 4 years. So, I love the move for the Phillies. I think it's hard to argue with bringing a guy in who, number one, means so much to the culture of that city. He fits so well in Philly. Those kind of cities, think about the cities that this man has played for. Chicago, Boston, and Philly. And Boston, I know, was only for 41 games. But all of those cities are like those like gritty, grindy American cities of like, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna post, and I'm gonna give you everything I got, and I'm gonna be a face that this city can be proud of. Like Kyle Schwarber's the kind of guy that I want my son to want to buy a jersey of his. And if I'm a Phillies fan, I could not possibly be more happy than to bring him in for 5 more years. I hope he stays there. I hope he becomes the mayor of Philadelphia, and I hope he retires there. I love Kyle Schwarber, and I love this move for the Phillies.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. The one that really had me shook, Parker, was honestly the Edwin Diaz one. Why? Well, we already talked about one reason is because he clearly didn't care about a Mets offer because apparently he didn't even go back to the Mets to get a counteroffer, which tells you everything you need to know. And then secondly, the freaking Dodgers last offseason signed Tanner Scott to a huge deal to be the closer and then turn around now and say, hold my beer and sign Edwin Diaz. I mean, this team is just unstoppable, and they are going to do anything they can to win 3 in a row.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Also, I mean, when you think about it too, last year they also signed Kirby Yates as well.
Yeah.
on top of Tanner Scott. So it's like, okay, this team just is collecting closers like their baseball cards. I think that at the current state of Edwin Diaz's career, he is a reliever who has already missed a year to injury. It's been 2 years since then. He did put up 3 WAR last season. It was like the perfect platform year for him to hit free agency on, if I'm being completely honest. A 1.63 ERA and 62 appearances with 28 saves. Yeah, I mean, he went multiple innings in some of those appearances. This is the perfect season for Edwin Diaz to go back onto the market. And at 31 years old, as a guy who throws hard and is a relief pitcher who always have a short shelf life and can only ever guarantee themselves a short shelf life. I think if you want to win a ring, I don't blame Edwin Diaz one bit. I think you just hop onto the wagon and let it keep rolling. I would not be surprised. Here's the deal. I think it speaks volumes about the current state of the Mets clubhouse that Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso, we don't know if Pete Alonso would have gone back for a counteroffer, or maybe he didn't even call back for a counteroffer and just not the story because the Mets didn't even offer one. But it speaks volumes to me that both of these guys signed so early in the offseason and went away from the Mets. And I don't know what I'm even saying with that point, but to me, it means something. I just don't think it means nothing that both of these guys did that.
So let me expand on that, because I think I know what you're getting at, because I often think about this too, and I also think it's imperative that we don't forget that yes, money talks, and if you have the biggest deal, people are attracted to that, whatever. But guys, people also care about, like you would, working with good people in the workplace, right? People care about walking into a clubhouse with good quality players and good quality coaches and mentors and everything. And people care about winning. Like, these guys bust their ass for years to make it to this sport and want to win a World Series. And that says two things to me. That says that if there are doubts about a clubhouse, you are going to be hesitant to go there. It also means that the Dodgers, everyone wants to play for the Dodgers. Let's be clear here, right? Like, I think anybody who wants to win a World Series is going to go to where they have the greatest chance to do that, and that is in LA, period, full stop. So the Dodgers guys, as long as they keep winning, they're going to get whoever they want, because they're going to want to go there. They're going to have the money to pay them. If you're, complaining that they're ruining the sport, it's not ending anytime soon. It's just not.
No, and Andrew Friedman has shown that he has the mentality to go out there and just get the guy that he wants. If he wanted Edwin Diaz, he was going to get Edwin Diaz. He has that famous quote that's been circulating a lot recently, at least in Red Sox land. If you treat every free agent rationally, you will finish second or third on every free agent. And
yes.
Yeah, Edwin Diaz probably isn't worth the money that he got. He's probably going to be a seventh inning guy, especially on this Dodgers team. Like, he's probably not the closer. And Andrew Friedman knows that. The ownership group knows that. And the ownership group also realizes the value of being the first team since the Yankees in the 90s to three-peat. So,
yes.
Honestly, I had this thing that I said, a couple weeks back, where I said that Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman were worth more to the Red Sox and the Mets, respectively, than they were to any other team. Like, you were worth more to the team you left than any other team. That was clearly proven inaccurate when it came to Pete Alonso and the Mets. But I think that Edwin Diaz, and on almost any premier reliever, and most other people that plug the small holes that are in this Dodgers rotation and lineup and bullpen, I think they're worth more to the Dodgers than any other team in baseball, because they shore up what little weakness the two-time defending champs have. And if you're going to go for three, like, if you had to commit for one and you really had to commit for two, you need to back up the Brinks truck for three in a row. Like, you can't blow this. You have to. This is a orchestra 3, 4, 5 years in the making. You don't just print these chances. They happen clearly once every 2 or 3 decades. And I completely see where the Dodgers are coming from.
And if I'm Andrew Freeman, Brandon Gomes sitting there and trying to look at this team for 2026, I am under no illusions. Like, yes, they have the best lineup up and down in baseball, the best organization. They barely got by the Blue Jays. Let's remember this. They barely got past
That had
the Blue
to
Jays
scare
with
the
all
crap out of them.
Yes, it would scare the crap out of me trying to build a team. So
Yeah.
if I'm them, I'm absolutely bringing out the Brinks truck. I'm absolutely fortifying this thing because at the end of the day, this is the in the sport that we love. I want every team to put the best, most talented players on the field, period. Some teams really struggle with that. Some teams don't think that's important, apparently. But the Dodgers do, and they're always going to get the most talented players and put them out on the field. And that is, I don't mean to turn this into a whole tangent into the whole collective bargaining agreement thing. But for the love of God, I hope the CBA helps us get to that point to where every team, no matter what, wants to put a quality product on the field right now. Help me do that.
I could not be any more against a salary cap, and I could not be any more for a salary floor. And I think that floor
weird.
needs to be aggressive. Yeah. I think that floor needs to progressively jump like $15 million every year. I need you to be so committed to being an owner in Major League Baseball that the thought of not trying to field a competitive team is absolutely insane. You and I, we alluded to it earlier. Both huge NFL fans. Dude, I am more of a basket case watching a Broncos game than I have ever been watching a Red Sox game. Mainly because there's a tenth of the amount of games per season.
Yeah.
But I'm literally standing for 90% of Broncos games. It means something to me. And part of the reason that it's so compelling to watch right now is that the Broncos were just bought by the owners of Walmart. They are by far the richest team in the NFL right now. Now, that doesn't mean as much when it comes to the NFL because there is a salary cap. But as a fan, there's certain quality of life upgrades that you get when it comes to having an ownership group that is willing to put down money. They cut Russell Wilson and took the biggest cap hit in NFL history. Absolutely nothing to this ownership group. They have already agreed to a retractable roof stadium being built in Denver to relocate the team within Denver to a brand new stadium, maybe bring a Super Bowl to the city. And let me tell you, if there's a Super Bowl in Denver, I want to go. And as a Broncos fan, that's a compelling product to put on the field. It is in such stark contrast to where the A's have been or the Rockies have been over the last few seasons that it's like, what is even happening? You know what's interesting is since I've known you, I would have maybe put the White Sox in that same bin as I just said the A's and the Rockies. But Chris Getz has done something over the last couple years that really makes this franchise super intriguing. And I actually love the way that the White Sox have turned this into almost like a surgical operation with somebody that's maybe not willing to put as much money down, but the player development and stuff is really, kind of ahead of its time in a way. And something else happened over these winter meetings, and that is the draft lottery. So I do want to give you a chance to talk about that because I was excited for you, having been to White Sox training camp and stuff like that this past spring training. Dude, you guys got the number 1 overall pick, and you're going to get maybe the most promising shortstop prospect in the last 3 decades of baseball with it.
It's amazing, and it came at a perfect time. I was absolutely thrilled. You're watching the draft, and let's remember, folks, the last 2 years, the teams that had the greatest chance to get the number 1 pick didn't get the number 1 pick, and so I was going in this thing hella nervous, thinking, quintessential Sox history tells us we're never gonna, ever come out really ahead of much of anything. But in this time, we did get the first pick. Now, you said something interesting, Parker, and that's that. You thought the Sox to be one thing, and now they are something different. A lot of that is because of Chris Getz, the team he's built, the focus on player development, and it's an interesting reality that the Sox live in right now because coming out of the winter meetings, some of the feedback from other executives and teams was that the White Sox are a sleeping giant. And one, that's incredible to hear from people in the sport. Two, I truly believe that because you look at guys like Colson Montgomery, Kyle Taylor, Chase Maedros. I mean, even the pitching. We have 2 6'4" plus left-handers in Hagen Smith and Noah Schultz coming soon. That's 2 Chris Sales, guys, essentially, if the development goes right. That's wild. So,
I love you so much. Counting them as 2 Chris Sales is pretty nuts.
Hey, listen to me. All right. In the makeup, yes. I said maybe if development goes right. Everyone calm down. But to the point being is there's two perfect things happening for the White Sox right now. Let's add three. Number one is, as you said, the player development machine is massive and it's humming, it's cooking. Number two, let's remember that by 2029, Jerry Reinsdorf is going to be selling the team to Josh Ishbia, who is one of your rich guys, Steve Cohen types, not as high as Steve Cohen. He's nowhere near as rich as Steve Cohen, but he's a guy who takes sports teams and pours money into them. That is music to my ears. Then at a third, where you're going to be able to draft one of the top shortstop prospects in the last 20 years in Rock Chalowski out of UCLA, that is huge. This is a perfect recipe for the Sox in 3, 4, 5 years to look like an entirely different franchise. It's very exciting.
Yeah, Rock looks absolutely insane. And I love the fact that college baseball is at the point now where, like, if you guys draft Rock, he could debut at, like, high A, double A. Like, these guys that are coming out of college, these are super good. We could see a world. We have never been closer to the debut on top tier draft picks than we are right now. I mean, not everybody's a Paul Skeens, but you could genuinely see this guy like is there such a thing as a meaningful spring training game? But you could see him in meaningful spring training games in 2027. You could see him pushing to debut in the 2027 season. And then that's absolutely insane, especially if the trajectory of this guy is as optimistic as the optimism currently is. I'm really excited for the White Sox. I think that you guys have so much growth that's going to happen here in the next like 3 to 5 years with the system that Chris Getz has in place, especially if your starting pitching pans out. If guys like Kyle Teal, Chase Mydroth, Colson Montgomery still has not yet like been given the opportunity to have like a breakout season. This could be it here this upcoming season. No, I absolutely love what you guys are doing. I'm pretty excited about that. And the winter meetings, like, I'm really happy to hear the storylines coming out of that the White Sox are not just sitting on their laurels. They're not waiting on all this talent to develop. You supplement it now. You get people in the clubhouse that you want your guys learning from. And I talk about that, I feel like, every single episode, and it means so much because it's like having a best friend that's a mentor. Like when you dress next to a guy, take a shower next to a guy, take batting practice in the same group, you watch, like when we were at spring training, we saw so many guys, and you can see like visual differences in the process on the backfields versus the guys who are prepping for the game that they are playing against Shohei Ohtani on the fields up front. And watching, even though Joey Gallo's a freaking pitcher now, watching his process in the batting cage and watching, Luis Roberts' process in the batting cage is insanely different from watching the at-bats that are happening in the scrimmage games in the backfield. So, especially when it's that stark of a contrast in a White Sox organization as you guys currently stand, I think it's super optimistic, and I think it's super cool. I can't wait to see how you guys turn into.
I am very excited. One of the last things I'll say about it, if you'll excuse me getting a little kind of sappy here, is that, like, most of I was a Cubs fan for many years, recovering Cubs fan. And I moved to the White Sox as I got smarter and more mature with baseball, and for good reason that we won't get into here. But I've felt more close and connected with this team more than I ever have been. And I think a lot of that is because they were not a serious organization. They did not focus on the things that were important. But when I hear Chris Getz talk about things like guys that have a good makeup on the field, off the field, being good men, being good stewards of the sport, like, this is becoming so much more of a tangible thing than just putting a player out there and expecting them to perform. And it has been so refreshing. And I've never been so connected to a baseball team as I am in this current moment, and it is making everything so much better for me as a fan. And I know how you feel with your Red Sox, because I don't know if I was ever quite there with the White Sox, but over the last 2 years, I've gotten there.
Well, I relate it more directly to my experience with the Denver Broncos, and we keep going back to football. I keep going back to football. But I was there for the Peyton Manning years, and you were there for the 2005 World Series, and like, you've seen where this team can be, whether you were a Cubs fan at the time or not. But you've seen what the heights that a team can reach, and somebody who's as dialed into the game as you are, like as dialed into football as I have been, I had to live through that decade between Peyton Manning and now Bo Nix of like
Ooh.
one of the biggest busts in NFL history in Paxton Lynch, and the Trevor Siemian years, and the Brock Osweiler suddenly signing with the Texans when we thought he was the successor to Peyton, and Russell Wilson, and like when you've been through as much crap as fans of teams that have had periods of struggle like the White Sox have had, it's super refreshing to feel hope. Because there are times when you don't have any. We're always gonna have some. Like, I mean, you guys were like I was picking you guys to win the World Series. I think I picked you to win the World Series 2 times in a row during the Jose Abreu and like those times.
Yeah.
But now you've come through this, not 100%, come through this time of real struggle to be in a period of optimism, and there's something so refreshing about that. So I mean, I'm super excited for the White Sox.
Last thing I'll say, because I think you'll find this interesting. One thing we did get out of the winter meetings for the White Sox is they are pushing hard for Dustin May.
Take him.
You know how
right
much
ahead.
We are a Dustin May show here, folks. We love Dustin May. How many times did we say, "Oh, I hope," when we were in spring training, "Oh, I hope Dustin May's starting. I hope Dustin May's starting." And sure enough, we went there and we saw spring training Dustin May start. It was great.
I did, and then he joined my Red Sox.
Well, that's where the story kind of took a turn.
I do still love Dustin May as like a pitcher. I think his stuff is absolutely electric. It's just we need to build consistency. And if there's a place that can do that, it's probably Chicago. It's probably the White Sox. So the thing that just a quick note on Dustin May, he joins Andrew Bailey's pitching lab, and Andrew Bailey's pitching lab has had a few of the people in it that have really blossomed, guys like a Lucas Giolito. And then there's been a few people that are very much not blossomed in that pitching lab. And to me, the one that sticks out most recently is Walker Buehler. And I want to point out a couple things about those guys. Number one, Lucas Giolito is always a numbers guy. He's obsessed with the details. Walker Buehler, I have had conversations with you on this show about how Walker Buehler's a little too big for his britches sometimes. Yeah, we get it. You spent a bunch of years in the big leagues. And, you know, you're very proud of the fact that you're a vet now and you've won a World Series or two, and one of them was a Mickey Mouse one, whatever. Now, I think that the mentality that Lucas Giolito brings to the Andrew Bailey experience is a lot more beneficial than the one that Walker Buehler brings, because Andrew Bailey asks you to completely revamp your repertoire. Your inventory of pitches completely changes. I don't know if guys who were in the Dodgers pitching factory really meld with the Andrew Bailey experience very well. But I do think that it is a significantly different experience being in the Chicago White Sox pitching factory. So I think if you guys are able to get your hands on Dustin May, number one, I think he's looking great in those Southside uniforms. Number two, I still think he has some of the best upside in terms of stuff in the big league. So if you guys can get him to control it a bit and stop getting the ball hit out of the ballpark, I still love Dustin May, and I hope he's really I hope he's a good piece if you guys are able to acquire him.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It would definitely be a good ad that no doubt I'll be excited about. Parker, we're kind of coming up on time here. One of the things I wanted to kind of just, I guess, openly talk about, let's go behind the curtain here. Folks, we're coming up on Christmas, which means you're going to see us disappear for a little bit here. Now, what I will say is I think next week, Parker, will end up being our last show for the Christmas break. So I thought, and I'm literally just workshopping this with you right now, I thought we could do some baseball Christmas games and do holiday hijinks next week and have a little bit of fun and just go a little nuts. I have some things prepared and some things prepped, so maybe we do that next week.
I'm all about it. Let's do it.
Cool. Last word, Parker. What do you got tonight for your last word?
I need Ketel Marte in my life. I've already sent the text to Anthony saying that I think Ketel Marte happens this week. It's already Thursday at the time of recording. It hasn't happened yet. So we'll see. I would love Ketel Marte in my life. I need Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman to me is like house money. You absolutely need to go get him. I think he's more valuable. Whatever. So I'm following. I have Jeff Passan tweets on notification status just in case right now. Super excited about what the winter meetings mean for baseball. And interesting. One last final thought. Sorry that I forgot to bring up earlier.
Yeah.
The premier Scott Boras client has now signed at both winter meetings in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And I think that means something. Also, I'm super out on the Scott Boras wordplay.
It's so dumb. Stop.
It's so cringy and annoying.
It's so funny. That's funny because that was going to be my last word, and I was going to specifically say, can Scott Boras just do his job and not expose his nonsense to any of us? Because it's not cute. It's really dumb and annoying.
I think the part that gets me about it is that it's so clearly rehearsed.
Absolutely.
It makes the interview seem pre-recorded. And I know if I see it on Instagram, clearly it's pre-recorded. But, like, come on, man. Like, you're not just coming up with that kind of crap on the fly. It means that you're not taking the media involvement seriously. And look, we all know that we're all just checking a box with the media time. I get it. But, like, you're the number one agent in the sport. This is a guy who's not only represented some of the most premier free agents in MLB history, but, like, Daisuke Matsuzaka was a Scott Boras client at the time of his posting. Like, this is a guy who transcends intercontinental baseball. And I need you to take it a little more seriously from the fans' perspective. I know you're getting your clients paid, but, like, I don't care about your little poetry sessions.
I mean, we're not here to shit on him. I'm sure he's a very pleasant, nice guy that's probably has a million stories. It'd be fun to chat with him. For sure, but Scott, please. I'm just kind of tired of it. I'm kind of bored of it.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing. Bryce Terang, Team USA.
Oh yeah. Mark DeRosa is putting together an unstoppable. I mean, if this was ever a year,
it remains to be seen if it's unstoppable. Japan's got a hell of a lineup.
I know, but still, if there was ever a year that USA could win the World Baseball Classic, man, this has got to be it, because that team is absolutely ridiculous so far.
Yeah, I completely agree. Ridiculous. I also agreed with that last WBC.
That's fair.
Being completely honest. I will say the pitching looks significantly better. We're not going to have Merrill Kelly starting the title game this year.
No.
We will do a full WBC deep dive. I absolutely.
Yes.
WBC is like your team made the playoffs. Like they started in the playoffs. It's like like being genuinely. I think that the WBC is like what it's like to be a Dodger fan every time the WBC happens, because the USA is really good, and we all get to enjoy that run. So we will be doing a WBC breakdown. Super excited for that. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got. All
right, let's get that out of here. It's getting late. Hey, make sure, folks, you are following us on YouTube. All of our content's on YouTube. All of our episodes, all of our content's on Spotify if you want the audio only. And make sure you're sharing, liking, commenting, telling us what you like, what you don't like, saying all the nice things. We'll see you next week. Take care.